My name is Natalie Brennan, and I'm standing in the parking lot of Ridgemont Elementary, watching my son climb into the back of a minivan for a playdate I almost said no to. Almost, because part of me, the tired, defensive part, wanted to keep him home. Safe, away from the mothers who smile at me with their lips pressed just a little too tight, their eyes skimming over my left hand like they're searching for evidence of my failure. But I didn't say no. I never do. Because the last thing I want is for my son to pay the price for the life I've built for us. Thanks again, Natalie. Karen Chen calls from the driver's seat, her voice bright and performative. She's wearing athleisure that probably costs more than my grocery budget, and her daughter, sweet Mia, is already chattering away with my Caleb in the backseat. No problem, I call back, waving as the van pulls away. Text me when you want me to pick him up. She doesn't respond, just drives off. I stand there for a moment, feeling the weight of the other mother's stares like static electricity on my skin. I don't turn around. I've learned not to. Instead, I adjust the strap of my work bag, a faded canvas thing I've had since college, and head toward my car. Must be nice, someone mutters behind me, having that much free time. I freeze, my keys are halfway to the lock. I mean, no husband to check in with, no family dinners to plan, just her and the kid. The voice belongs to Diane Mitchell, a woman whose entire personality revolves around her husband's job at some tech startup and her twins' enrollment in every extracurricular known to man. I've never done anything to her, never even spoken more than 3 sentences to her. But somehow, I've become her favorite topic of conversation. I unlock my car, get in, close the door. And breathe. This is my life now. Every school drop-off, every PTA meeting, every birthday party invitation that comes with a side of judgment. I'm the single mom, the one who got herself into this situation. The one who's raising a boy without a father, which apparently means I'm destined to screw him up beyond repair. Never mind that Caleb is thriving, that he's reading 2 grades above his level, that his teacher calls him remarkably empathetic, that he's never once complained about the life we've built together. None of that matters to people like Diane. What matters is the absence, the empty space where a man should be. I pull out of the parking lot and head toward the small marketing firm where I work as a project coordinator. It's not glamorous. The pay is mediocre, the office smells like burnt coffee, and my boss, Greg, has a habit of taking credit for my ideas, but it's stable. It's flexible enough that I can pick Caleb up from school most days. And right now, stability is worth more than ambition. My phone buzzes as I merge onto the highway, a text from my mother. Mom, dinner Sunday? Your brother and Amanda will be there. You should bring Caleb. He needs to spend time with family. I stare at the message for a beat too long before the car behind me honks. I toss my phone into the passenger seat and focus on the road. Family, right. The same family that barely acknowledges Caleb's existence unless it's convenient. The same brother who joked at Christmas that Caleb would probably turn out fine, even without a dad. Kids are resilient, you know? Like my son is some kind of social experiment. But I'll go, because that's what I do. I show up, I smile. I pretend the comments don't land like glass shards in my chest. By the time I get to the office, I've shoved the morning's humiliation into the back of my mind. I'm good at compartmentalizing. I've had 8 years of practice. Natalie, there you are. Greg intercepts me before I even reach my desk, his coffee breath invading my personal space. He's holding a printout of something, probably the campaign proposal I emailed him last night at 11 p.m. after I'd finally gotten Caleb to sleep. I tweaked your concept a bit, he says, not even pretending to be subtle. Gave it some polish. I think the clients are going to love my direction. Your concept, my work, his credit. Great, I say, forcing a smile. Glad I could help brainstorm. He claps me on the shoulder like we're buddies. That's why you're such a team player, Nat. I hate being called Nat. I settle into my cubicle, pull up my emails, and let the monotony of work numb the ache in my chest. But the whispers from the parking lot cling to me like smoke. They always do. No husband to check in with, just her and the kid. As if being alone is the same as being incomplete. That evening, I pick Caleb up from Karen's house. She answers the door with a smile that doesn't reach her eyes, and for a moment, I think she's going to say something. Something pointed, something passive aggressive, but she just hands me his backpack. They had fun, she says. Though Caleb did mention he doesn't have a dad, Mia asked about it. My stomach tightens and I just told her that all families are different. She pauses, her smile tightening. But you might want to prepare him for those kinds of questions. Kids notice things. I want to scream. I want to tell her that I've been preparing Caleb for those questions since he was old enough to ask them himself. That I've stayed up countless nights rehearsing what to say, how to protect him from the exact kind of judgment she's standing here delivering with a smile on her face. But I don't, because that's not what people like Karen want. They don't want honesty. They want confirmation that I'm struggling, that I'm failing, that their lives, with their husbands and their minivans and their matching family Christmas cards, are superior. Thanks for the advice, I say, my voice flat. Come on, buddy. Caleb bounds out of the house, his face flushed from playing. He's clutching a small toy car, probably a gift from Mia's overflowing toy bin. Mom, look what Mia gave me. That's awesome, babe. I ruffle his hair and we walk to the car. He chatters the whole way home, telling me about the game they played, the snacks they had, the way Mia's little brother spilled juice all over the kitchen floor. His joy is infectious, and for a few minutes the weight lifts. But then he goes quiet. I glance at him in the rearview mirror. Hey, I say gently, you okay? He nods, but his fingers are twisting the toy car in his lap. Mia asked me about my dad. My heart stops. What did you say? I said I don't have one, and she asked why, so I said. He trails off, his voice small. I said I don't know. I pull into our apartment complex and park. For a moment, I just sit there, gripping the steering wheel. Caleb, I say, turning to face him. You know your dad isn't around because he made a choice, right? That has nothing to do with you. He nods, but his eyes are shiny. I know, but Mia's mom told her that kids need dads, that it's important. Of course she did. I unbuckle my seatbelt and climb into the back seat, pulling him into my arms. He smells like graham crackers and playground mulch, and I hold him tight. Listen to me, I whisper. You are the most important thing in my life, and I am doing everything I can to make sure you grow up happy and healthy and loved. If people don't understand that, that's their problem. Not yours, not mine, okay? He nods against my shoulder, okay. But I can feel the doubt creeping in, the seed that's been planted. And I hate it. Sunday dinner at my mother's house is exactly as exhausting as I anticipated. My brother, Jason, is already there when we arrive, his wife Amanda perched on the couch with a glass of wine, scrolling through her phone. Their two kids, 6 and 4, are running laps around the living room, shrieking at a volume that makes my temples throb. Natalie, my mother, appears from the kitchen, wiping her hands on a dish towel. She hugs me briefly, then bends down to Caleb. And there's my handsome grandson. Look how big you're getting. Caleb smiles shyly. He's always been a little overwhelmed by the chaos of Jason's kids. Go play, my mother says, shooing him toward the living room. He hesitates, glancing back at me, but I nod encouragingly. Come help me in the kitchen, my mother says, already heading back toward the stove. I follow, bracing myself. So, she begins, stirring a pot of something that smells like rosemary and disappointment. How's work? Fine. And Caleb, school going well. Great, he's reading at a 4th grade level. That's wonderful. She pauses, her spoon hovering. You know, Jason was just telling me about this new program at his kid's school. It's for boys without father figures. They pair them up with male mentors, coaches, teachers, that sort of thing. I thought maybe Caleb could benefit from something like that. I set down the plate I'm holding a little too hard. Caleb doesn't need a male mentor, Mom. He's doing fine. I'm not saying he's not, she says quickly, her tone placating. I just think it might be good for him to have a man in his life, someone to look up to. He has Jason. Jason has his own kids, Natalie. He can't be expected to. Mom, I cut her off, my voice sharper than I intended. Caleb is fine, I'm fine, we don't need fixing. She sighs, turning back to the stove. I'm just trying to help. But her help always feels like criticism, like I'm a problem that needs solving. Dinner is worse. Jason dominates the conversation, talking about his promotion, his kids' accomplishments, the new car he just leased. Amanda chimes in occasionally, laughing at his jokes, playing the role of supportive wife. And then Jason turns to me. "So, Nat," he says, cutting into his steak, "still at that marketing gig?" And yep. Ever think about going back to school, getting a real degree? I have a degree, a bachelor's in communications, but apparently that doesn't count. I'm good where I am, I say evenly. I'm just saying, if you want to give Caleb a better life, you might need to aim higher. It's tough out there for single moms. Amanda nods sympathetically, like she's ever struggled a day in her life. I look at Caleb, who's quietly eating his mashed potatoes, his eyes downcast. He's listening, he always is. Caleb has a great life, I say, my voice steady. He's happy, he's healthy, he's loved. Of course he is, my mother interjects. Jason just means. I know what he means, Mom. The table falls silent. Jason smirks like he's won something. I hate him for it. That night, after I've tucked Caleb into bed and kissed his forehead, I sit on the edge of my own bed and cry. Not because I believe them, not because I think I'm failing, but because I'm so tired of fighting, of defending my choices, of proving that my son and I are enough. And I wonder, not for the first time, how long I can keep this up. 3 weeks later, everything changes. It starts with a phone call. I'm at my desk, deep in a spreadsheet that makes my eyes cross, when my phone buzzes. It's Caleb's school. My heart immediately kicks into overdrive. Any parent knows that a midday call from school is never good news. "Ms. Brennan," the voice belongs to Mrs. Kowalski, the school counselor. "Do you have a moment?" "Of course, is Caleb okay?" "He's fine physically," she says carefully, "but I'd like to schedule a meeting with you. There's been an incident." My stomach drops. What kind of incident? "I'd prefer to discuss it in person. Are you available tomorrow after school? Say 3:30. I glance at my calendar. I have a meeting with a client at 4, but Greg can handle it. Or at least, he'll take credit for it anyway. "I'll be there," I say. The rest of the day is a blur. I can't focus. Can't think about anything except Caleb, and whatever happened that requires a counselor meeting. By the time I pick him up that afternoon, my nerves are shot. He's quiet in the car, quieter than usual. "Hey, bud," I say gently, "how was your day?" Fine. Just fine." He shrugs, staring out the window. I don't push, not yet, but the knot in my chest tightens. The next afternoon, I sit across from Mrs. Kowalski in her small, cluttered office. She's a kind woman in her 50s, with graying hair and wire-rimmed glasses that perch on the end of her nose. But today, her expression is serious. "Thank you for coming in," she begins. "I wanted to talk to you about something that happened in Caleb's class yesterday." I lean forward, my hands gripping the edge of my chair. What happened? The students were doing a project about their families. They were supposed to draw a picture and write a few sentences about the people they live with. She pauses, pulling a piece of paper from a folder on her desk. This is what Caleb turned in. She hands me the drawing. It's simple, a stick figure of me labeled Mom, a stick figure of Caleb labeled me, and in the corner, in Caleb's careful handwriting, it's just us. But that's okay. My throat tightens. Caleb did a great job, Mrs. Kowalski says, but during the presentation, one of the other students, a boy named Tyler, asked where his dad was. Caleb said he didn't have one, and Tyler said, she hesitates. Tyler said, "My mom says kids without dads turn out bad." The air leaves my lungs. "What did Caleb say?" I ask, my voice barely above a whisper. He didn't say anything, he just sat down, but his teacher noticed he was upset, so she sent him to me. I stare at the drawing, my vision blurring. "And what did you say to Tyler?" His teacher addressed it with the class. She explained that all families are different and that it's not okay to make hurtful comments. But I wanted to talk to you because Caleb was very quiet when I spoke to him. He said he's been thinking a lot about not having a dad, and I'm concerned that he might be internalizing some of the messages he's hearing. Internalizing, the word feels like a knife. What messages? I ask, even though I already know. Mrs. Kowalski folds her hands on her desk. Ms. Brennan, I want to be clear. I think you're doing an incredible job. Caleb is a bright, compassionate, well-adjusted child, but he's at an age where he's starting to notice differences between his life and his peers' lives. And unfortunately, some of those peers and their parents aren't always kind about those differences. I close my eyes, so what do I do? Keep doing what you're doing. Keep the lines of communication open. Let him know it's okay to ask questions, to feel confused or sad, and if it continues to be an issue, we can look into some counseling resources for him. I nod, but I feel like I'm drowning. Thank you, I manage, for looking out for him. Of course, she says softly, he's a special kid. That night, I sit Caleb down at the kitchen table. He's already in his pajamas, his hair still damp from his bath, and he looks so small sitting there, his hands folded in his lap. Mrs. Kowalski told me what happened yesterday, I say gently. He nods, his eyes on the table. Do you want to talk about it? He shrugs, not really. Caleb's look at me. He does slowly. His eyes are glassy and it breaks my heart. What Tyler said was wrong, I tell him. You are not going to turn out bad because you don't have a dad. You are smart and kind and amazing, and none of that has anything to do with who is or isn't in your life. But why did he say it? Caleb asks, his voice cracking. Why do people always talk about it? Because some people don't understand, I say, and instead of trying to understand, they judge. But that's their problem, not yours. Do you think I need a dad? He asks, and the question guts me. I think you need people who love you, I say. And you have that, you have me. You have your teachers, your friends, your grandma and uncle. You have a whole life full of people who care about you. But what if they're right, he whispers. What if I do turn out bad? I pull him into my arms, holding him so tight I can feel his heartbeat against mine. You won't, I say fiercely. I promise you, you won't. But even as I say it, I feel the rage building. At Tyler, at his mother, at every person who's ever looked at my son and seen something broken. The rage doesn't fade, it festers. Over the next few days, I start paying closer attention to the looks in the school parking lot, to the whispers that stop when I walk by, to the way certain mothers pull their kids a little closer when Caleb approaches on the playground. And then I overhear it. I'm waiting in the pickup line, my windows cracked to let in the spring air, when I hear Diane Mitchell's voice from the car next to mine. I'm just saying it's not fair to the other kids, she's saying to someone on speakerphone. Caleb's a sweet boy, but he's got issues. You can tell, and it's only going to get worse as he gets older. Boys need fathers, it's just biology. My hands tighten on the steering wheel. I mean, look at Natalie, Diane continues. She's doing her best, I'm sure, but she's overwhelmed. She works full-time, she's barely involved in PTA, and honestly, I don't think she's setting a good example. How's Caleb supposed to learn how to be a man when there's no man in his life? I should drive away, I should let it go. But I don't. I open my door, step out of my car, and walk over to Diane's window. She doesn't see me at first, she's too busy tearing me apart. Diane, I say, my voice calm. She jumps, her phone slipping from her hand. Natalie, I didn't see you. Clearly, I lean down, meeting her eyes. Let me make something very clear. My son does not have issues. He is thriving. And if you have something to say about me or my parenting, you can say it to my face, not on speakerphone in a school parking lot. Her face flushes red. I wasn't. Yes, you were, and I'm done pretending I don't hear it. I walk back to my car, my heart pounding, and wait for Caleb to emerge from the building. When he climbs into the backseat, I force a smile. How was your day, bud? Good, he says, and I can hear the truth in his voice. But I know this isn't over. The confrontation with Diane should have been cathartic. It wasn't. Because the whispers don't stop. If anything, they get worse. Now I'm not just the single mom, I'm the difficult single mom, the one who can't take a joke, the one who makes everything about her. But something shifts in me after that day in the parking lot. The defensiveness, the exhaustion, the constant swallowing of my anger, It all crystallizes into something sharper, something purposeful. I'm done apologizing for my life. The first person I call is my friend Lena. We met in a new mothers group 8 years ago, back when I was still figuring out how to change a diaper without crying from sleep deprivation. She's a single mom, too. Her ex-husband left when their daughter was 2, and she's the only person who's never once made me feel like I was failing. Nat, she says when she answers, her voice warm, please tell me you're calling to say you're free for wine tonight. I wish. I'm calling because I need advice. Oh, what happened? I tell her everything. The comment from Tyler's mom, the meeting with Mrs. Kowalski, the parking lot confrontation with Diane. By the time I'm done, she's silent. Lena, I prompt. I'm just trying to decide whether to be furious or impressed, she says finally. You actually confronted Diane Mitchell, the queen of the PTA mafia. I didn't plan to, it just happened. Good, she's had it coming for years. Lena pauses. But listen, Nat, if you're going to take a stand, you need to be smart about it. These women, they have power. They gossip, they exclude, they make life hell for anyone who doesn't fall in line. You need to protect yourself. And Caleb. How? Document everything, every comment, every incident, and find allies. You're not the only parent who's sick of their bullshit. It's good advice, practical, and it gives me a place to start. I begin keeping a record. Every snide comment, every exclusion, every moment where I can feel the weight of their judgment, I write it down. I note dates, times, witnesses. At first, it feels petty, like I'm building a case for something that doesn't even exist yet. But then I realize I am building a case, not for a courtroom, but for myself, because I need to know I'm not imagining this, that the constant erosion of my confidence, the nagging voice that tells me I'm not enough, it's not in my head, it's real. And it's been going on for years. I also start paying attention to the other parents, the ones who aren't part of Diane's inner circle, the ones who hover at the edges of school events, who don't volunteer for every committee, who seem just as exhausted and overwhelmed as I feel. One of them is Marcus Webb, a dad who picks up his daughter at the same time I pick up Caleb. He's tall, soft-spoken, and always looks slightly rumpled, like he's been running from one obligation to the next. We've exchanged pleasantries over the years, but never anything deeper. One afternoon, as we're both waiting in the pickup line, he walks over to my car. Hey, Natalie, he says, his voice hesitant. Can I ask you something? And sure. Did Diane Mitchell say something to you the other day, in the parking lot? I tense. Why? Because she's been telling everyone you attacked her, that you screamed at her in front of other parents. Of course she has. That's not what happened, I say evenly. I confronted her about something I overheard. I didn't scream. I didn't attack. I just told her I was done with the gossip. Marcus nods slowly. I figured Diane has a habit of exaggerating. You've noticed that too. He laughs, a short, bitter sound. Oh yeah, my wife died 3 years ago, and for the first year Diane was all sympathy and casseroles. But then I started dating again, and suddenly I was moving on too fast and not putting my daughter first. You can't win with people like her. I stare at him, something loosening in my chest. I didn't know about your wife, I'm sorry. Thanks, he shoves his hands in his pockets. I just wanted to say, if you need someone to back you up, I will. I'm tired of the cliques and the judgment. We're all just trying to do our best for our kids, you know. Yeah, I say, my voice thick. I know. It's the first time in years that I've felt like someone truly sees me, not as a problem, not as a cautionary tale, just as another parent trying to navigate the impossible. The next ally comes from an unexpected place. Caleb's teacher, Ms. Brennan. Yes, we share a last name. No, we're not related. It's caused more than one awkward moment over the years. She pulls me aside after school one day, her expression serious. Natalie, I wanted to talk to you about the family project. My stomach sinks. Is this about Tyler again? Partly, but it's also about the way some of the parents have responded. I've had 3 mothers contact me asking why I allowed Caleb to present a project that didn't include a traditional family structure. I stare at her stunned. Are you serious? Unfortunately, yes. And I'll be honest with you, I pushed back. I told them that the assignment was about their families, not some idealized version of what a family should look like. But I wanted you to know because I have a feeling this isn't going away. What do you mean? She hesitates. There's a PTA meeting next week. I've heard rumblings that Diane Mitchell and a few others are planning to bring up concerns about single parent households and how they affect classroom dynamics. The air leaves my lungs. They're going to target me. I don't know for sure, but I wanted to warn you. And I wanted to say that if you decide to attend that meeting, I'll be there, and I'll have your back. It's such a small thing, such a simple gesture, but it means everything. Thank you, I whisper. The PTA meeting is in 5 days. 5 days to prepare. 5 days to decide whether I'm going to walk into that room and face the firing squad or stay home and let them tear me apart in absentia. Lena's advice echoes in my head, find allies. I text Marcus Webb. He responds within minutes, I'll be there. I email Ms. Brennan to confirm she'll attend. She replies, absolutely. And then I do something I haven't done in years. I reach out to the other single parents at the school. There are only a handful of us, 2 single moms, 1 single dad, and 1 grandmother raising her grandson. I find their contact info through the school directory and send a carefully worded email. Hi, my name is Natalie Brennan, and I'm a single mom at Ridgemont Elementary. I've recently become aware that there will be a discussion at the upcoming PTA meeting about single-parent households and their impact on the school community. I wanted to reach out because I think it's important that we have a voice in this conversation. If you're interested in attending and/or coordinating a response, please let me know. I hit send before I can second-guess myself. Within an hour, I have 3 responses. All of them say the same thing, I'm in. The night before the meeting, I can't sleep. I lie in bed, staring at the ceiling, rehearsing what I'll say, how I'll stay calm, measured, rational, how I'll make them see that their judgment isn't just hurtful, it's damaging to the kids they claim to care about. But underneath the planning, there's fear. Fear that I'll walk into that room and be outnumbered, that I'll open my mouth and my voice will shake, that I'll prove them right, that I'm too emotional, too defensive, too much. At 2 a.m., I get out of bed and walk to Caleb's room. He's asleep, his face peaceful in the glow of his nightlight. I sit on the edge of his bed and watch him breathe. This is why I'm doing this, not for me, for him. So that one day, when he's old enough to understand, he'll know that his mother didn't stay silent, that she fought for him, that she taught him to stand up for himself, even when it's hard. I lean down and kiss his forehead. I love you, I whisper. And then I go back to bed and somehow, finally, fall asleep. The Ridgemont Elementary PTA meeting takes place in the cafeteria, a space that smells perpetually of disinfectant and chicken nuggets. By the time I arrive at 7 p.m., the room is already half full. Parents cluster in small groups, their conversations buzzing like wasps. I spot Diane immediately. She's holding court near the front, surrounded by her usual entourage. Karen Chen, 2 other PTA board members, and a few parents I recognize but don't know by name. They're all dressed in what I've come to think of as suburban armor. Expensive athleisure, statement jewelry, perfect blowouts. I'm wearing jeans and a sweater. My hair is in a ponytail. I look exactly like what I am. A woman who worked a full day, picked her kid up from after-school care, made dinner, helped with homework, and barely had time to brush her teeth before rushing out the door. Marcus Webb waves me over to a table near the back. He's sitting with the other single parents I emailed. Lisa, a mom of twins. Raymond, a dad whose ex has full custody but who still shows up for every school event. And Glenda, the grandmother raising her grandson after her daughter passed away. You made it, Marcus says, pulling out a chair for me. Barely, I sit down, my heart hammering. Any idea what we're walking into? Diane's been circulating a petition, Lisa says, her voice low. She slides a piece of paper across the table. Someone sent me a photo. I scan the text and my stomach drops. We, the undersigned parents of Ridgemont Elementary, are concerned about the increasing number of single-parent households in our school community and the potential impact on classroom dynamics, student behavior, and overall school culture. We believe it is important to address these concerns and explore resources to support children from non-traditional families. It's couched in language that sounds reasonable, supportive even, but the subtext is clear. Single parents are the problem. How many signatures? I ask. 15 as of this morning, Raymond says, but I heard she's aiming for 25. Unbelievable, I mutter. Believable, Glenda corrects, her voice sharp. I've been dealing with this for 2 years. Ever since I enrolled my grandson, you'd think I was asking them to let a feral dog into the classroom. Before I can respond, the PTA president, a pleasant woman named Helen who I've always liked, calls the meeting to order. The room quiets and everyone takes their seats. The first 20 minutes are standard PTA fare. Budget updates, upcoming fundraisers, a debate over whether the spring carnival should have a bouncy house or a dunk tank. I barely register any of it. My eyes keep drifting to Diane, who's sitting in the front row, her expression serene. She's waiting. And then, finally, Helen says, "All right, that covers the main agenda. Does anyone have any new business?" Diane's hand shoots up. "Yes, Diane," Helen says, sounding resigned. Diane stands, smoothing her blouse. "Thank you, Helen. I'd like to bring up a concern that several parents have raised with me over the past few weeks." Here we go. As many of you know, Diane continues, her voice calm and measured, our school has seen an increase in single-parent households over the past few years. And while we absolutely support all families, there have been some concerns about how this shift is affecting our students. Helen frowns. What kind of concerns? Well, for example, children from single-parent homes often require additional emotional support. They may struggle with behavioral issues, academic performance, or social integration. And while our teachers are wonderful, they're already stretched thin. I think it's important that we have a conversation about what resources we can provide to help these children and their parents succeed. She says it all so sweetly, so reasonably, and I can see some of the parents nodding along, their expressions sympathetic. My hands curl into fists under the table. "I appreciate you bringing this up, Diane," Helen says carefully, "but I'm not sure I understand. Are you suggesting we implement some kind of program?" "Exactly," Diane says, brightening. "A mentorship program, perhaps, or counseling resources specifically for children from non-traditional families. We just want to make sure they have the support they need." Marcus leans over and whispers, "She's making it sound like we're charity cases." "I know," I whisper back. Helen opens her mouth to respond, but before retry Dr. continue edich can, I stand up. Every head in the room turns toward me. "I'd like to respond to that," I say, my voice steadier than I feel. Helen nods. "Of course, Natalie, go ahead." I take a breath and step out from behind the table. My legs feel like jelly, but I force myself to walk toward the front of the room. I don't stop until I'm standing just a few feet from Diane. "I'm Natalie Brennan," I begin, even though most people here know who I am. "And I'm one of those single parents you're so concerned about." Diane's smile tightens. "Natalie, this isn't personal." "Let me finish." My voice is sharp enough that she actually stops talking. "You say you want to support children from non-traditional families, that you're worried about their emotional well-being, their behavior, their academic performance. But let me ask you something. Have any of you actually talked to these kids? Have you looked at their report cards? Have you asked their teachers how they're doing?" A silence. "Because I have," I continue. "My son Caleb is reading 2 grades above his level. His teacher describes him as empathetic, responsible, and kind. He's never had a behavioral issue. He's never struggled academically. And he's not the exception. Lisa's twins are on the honor roll. Raymond's daughter just won the school spelling bee. Glenda's grandson is in the gifted program." I turn to face the room, making eye contact with as many parents as I can. "So where exactly is the problem you're trying to solve? Because from where I'm standing, the only issue here is the way you're treating our kids. The whispers in the parking lot, the exclusion from playdates, the comments about how they're going to turn out bad because they don't have 2 parents under one roof." I hear a few sharp intakes of breath. Good, let them be uncomfortable. "My son came home 3 weeks ago and asked me if he was going to turn out bad," I say, my voice cracking. "He's 8 years old, And he asked me that because one of your children told him that kids without dads are broken. Diane's face flushes. That's not. It is, I interrupt. And you know it because I've heard you say it. I've heard you tell other parents that children need fathers, that single mothers are overwhelmed, that we're not setting a good example. I've heard all of it. Natalie, Helen interjects gently, I think we should all take a breath. No, I shake my head. I'm done taking breaths. I'm done staying quiet while people like Diane act like my family is a problem that needs fixing. We don't need your mentorship programs or your counseling resources. We need you to treat our kids with the same respect you'd give any other child. We need you to stop making them feel like they're less than because their families look different from yours. I turn back to Diane. And if you're really so concerned about supporting children, maybe start by teaching your own kids not to bully mine. The room erupts. Half the parents are nodding, murmuring in agreement. The other half looks scandalized, glancing between me and Diane like they're watching a tennis match. Diane herself looks like she's been slapped. I never, she starts, but Ms. Brennan, Caleb's teacher, cuts her off. Actually, Diane, you did. Every head swivels toward Ms. Brennan, who's standing near the side of the room. She steps forward, her expression calm but firm. I was present when Tyler made that comment to Caleb, she says. And when I called his parents to discuss it, his mother, your friend Karen, told me that she'd warned Tyler about kids from broken homes because she didn't want him picking up bad habits. Karen Chen's face goes white. I documented that conversation, Ms. Brennan continues. Just like I've documented the 3 separate complaints I've received from parents asking why I allowed Caleb to present a family project that didn't include a father. Just like I've documented every instance where a single parent has been excluded from volunteer opportunities because they probably don't have time. She pulls out a folder, a thick one, and sets it on the table in front of Helen. This isn't about supporting children, Ms. Brennan says quietly. This is about judgment, and it needs to stop. The silence that follows is deafening. Helen picks up the folder, flipping through it with a deepening frown. I had no idea this was happening, she says finally. Diane, Karen, is this true? Diane's mouth opens and closes like a fish. We were just trying to exclude people, Marcus Webb says, standing up. Let's call it what it is. One by one, the other single parents stand too. Lisa, Raymond, Glenda. And then, to my surprise, a few other parents join them. Parents I don't even know. Parents who aren't single but who are apparently just as tired of the cliques and the judgment. I'm not a single parent, one woman says, her voice trembling. But I'm tired of watching Diane and her friends decide who's worthy of being included. My daughter wasn't invited to a single birthday party last year because I work full-time and couldn't volunteer for PTA. This isn't about family structure. It's about control. Another parent stands. My son has ADHD. Diane told me he was disruptive and suggested I homeschool him. He's not disruptive. He's just a kid who needs a little extra patience. More parents stand. More voices join in. And suddenly, the room that felt so hostile 10 minutes ago is full of people who are just as fed up as I am. Helen holds up a hand, her expression serious. All right, everyone sit down, please. We need to have a real conversation about this. The meeting goes on for another hour. Helen takes statements from several parents, reviews Ms. Brennan's documentation, and ultimately concludes that the PTA needs to revisit its policies around inclusivity and parent involvement. This organization is supposed to support all families, Helen says firmly, not just the ones that fit a certain mold. Moving forward, we'll be implementing mandatory anti-discrimination training for all board members, and any parent who is found to be engaging in bullying, whether toward children or other parents, will be removed from their volunteer positions. Diane looks like she's been hit by a truck. Karen Chen has already left, slipping out the side door halfway through the discussion. When the meeting finally ends, I'm exhausted, wrung out, but also lighter somehow. Marcus claps me on the shoulder. You did good, Brennan. We did good, I correct. Lisa hugs me. Thank you for starting this. I've wanted to say something for years, but I didn't think anyone would listen. They listened, I say, my voice thick. Finally. Ms. Brennan approaches as the room begins to clear. Natalie, I just want you to know I'm proud of you. That took real courage. I was terrified, I admit. Courage isn't the absence of fear, she says, smiling. It's doing the right thing anyway. I drive home in a daze, replaying the entire night in my head. Part of me can't believe I actually stood up in front of all those people and called out Diane Mitchell. Part of me can't believe it worked. But the biggest part of me just feels relieved. Like I've been holding my breath for 8 years, and I can finally exhale. When I pull into our apartment complex, I see a light on in Caleb's window. My mom is babysitting tonight, and she must have let him stay up late. I walk inside to find them both on the couch, watching a nature documentary. Caleb's in his pajamas, his head resting on my mother's shoulder. Mom, you're back. He jumps up and runs to me. How was the meeting? It was good, I say, pulling him into a hug. Really good. My mother stands, smoothing her skirt. Everything okay? Yeah, Mom, everything's okay. She studies my face for a moment, then nods. Good, I'm glad. It's not an apology for all the comments, all the unsolicited advice, all the times she's made me feel like I wasn't enough. But it's something, and for now, that's enough. After she leaves, I tuck Caleb into bed. He's chattering about the documentary, about the sea otters, and how they hold hands when they sleep so they don't drift apart. That's so they stay together, he says, his eyes already heavy with sleep. Because they're family. That's right, I whisper, kissing his forehead. Because they're family. He's asleep within minutes, and I stand in his doorway for a long time, just watching him. My son, my family, my enough. 3 months pass. The PTA implements its new policies. Diane Mitchell resigns from the board, citing personal reasons. Karen Chen stops making eye contact with me in the parking lot, which is honestly an improvement. But the biggest change is in Caleb. He's more confident, more willing to invite friends over to talk about our life, to be proud of the family we've built. He stops asking about his father, stops wondering if he's broken. And then, in early May, his teacher pulls me aside. Natalie, I wanted to let you know that Caleb has been selected to give a speech at the end-of-year assembly. I blink. A speech. Ms. Brennan smiles. Every year, we choose one student from each grade to talk about what they've learned. Caleb wrote something beautiful. I think you'll be really proud. What's it about? He wants it to be a surprise, she says, but trust me, you'll want to be there. The assembly is on a Friday afternoon. The gymnasium is packed with parents, teachers, and students, all seated on bleachers or folding chairs. I spot Jason and Amanda in the crowd. My mother must have told them about it, and I'm surprised to see Marcus Webb and Lisa sitting together near the back. I take a seat in the middle, my heart racing. I have no idea what Caleb is going to say. The principal gives a brief welcome, and then the speeches begin. A kindergartner talks about learning to tie her shoes. A third grader talks about overcoming her fear of reading aloud. Each one is sweet, earnest, and met with enthusiastic applause. And then it's Caleb's turn. He walks to the microphone, looking impossibly small on the stage. He's wearing the button-down shirt I ironed this morning, his hair neatly combed. He adjusts the microphone stand, clears his throat, and begins. Hi, my name is Caleb Brennan, and I'm in 3rd grade. This year, I learned a lot of things. I learned how to do long division and how to write in cursive and how photosynthesis works. But the most important thing I learned wasn't from a textbook. He pauses, glancing out at the crowd. His eyes find mine and he smiles. I learned that family doesn't have to look a certain way to be real. For a long time, I thought my family was different because it's just me and my mom. Some kids at school said I was missing something. They said I needed a dad to be normal. And for a while, I believed them. My throat tightens. But then I started paying attention to what I actually have. I have a mom who works really hard so we can have a nice home. She helps me with my homework every night, even when she's tired. She makes me breakfast every morning, even the gross oatmeal I don't like but she says is good for me. A ripple of laughter goes through the crowd. She comes to every soccer game, even the ones that are at 7 a.m. on Saturday. She reads to me before bed, even though I'm probably too old for that now. And whenever I'm scared or sad or confused, she's always there. She never makes me feel like I'm too much or like my feelings don't matter. I press my hand to my mouth, tears streaming down my face. My mom isn't perfect, Caleb continues. She burns pancakes sometimes, and she's really bad at video games, and she sings off-key in the car, but she's perfect for me. And I realize that I don't need a dad to be happy. I don't need my family to look like everyone else's family. I just need people who love me, and I have that. He looks directly at me now, his eyes bright. So this year, I learned that being different isn't the same as being broken. And I learned that my mom is the strongest, bravest person I know. And I hope that one day, I can be half as good as she is. He steps back from the microphone, and for a moment, the entire gymnasium is silent. And then the applause begins. It starts slowly, a few scattered claps, but then it builds, swelling until it's thunderous. Parents are standing, teachers are wiping their eyes, and students are cheering. I'm sobbing, full on, can't breathe, ugly crying sobbing. Jason is staring at Caleb with something like awe on his face. Amanda is dabbing at her eyes with a tissue. My mother, stoic, critical, impossible to please, is crying too. Caleb walks off the stage and straight toward me. I meet him halfway, dropping to my knees and pulling him into my arms. I'm so proud of you, I whisper into his hair. So proud. Did I do good? He asks, his voice muffled against my shoulder. You did perfect. After the assembly, I'm swarmed by parents. Some offer congratulations. Some apologize, their eyes downcast, for things they said or didn't say. Some just squeeze my hand and move on. Marcus gives me a thumbs up from across the room. Lisa mouths, that was incredible. Ms. Brennan catches my eye and smiles. And Diane Mitchell, who I didn't even realize was here, stands near the exit watching. She doesn't say anything, doesn't approach, just watches. And then she leaves. I don't know if she'll ever apologize. I don't know if she'll ever understand what her words did to my son, to me, to all the families she's judged over the years. But I realize, standing there in that gymnasium with my son's arms around my waist, that it doesn't matter. Her opinion doesn't define us. Her approval isn't required. We're already enough. That night, after Caleb is asleep, I sit on the couch with a cup of tea and replay the day in my mind. The speech, the applause, the look on Caleb's face when he realized how many people were cheering for him. My phone buzzes, it's a text from my mother. Mom, I'm sorry I didn't say this sooner, but you're doing an amazing job with Caleb. I'm proud of you, Natalie. I stare at the message for a long time, tears pricking my eyes again. Me, thank you, Mom, that means a lot. It's not perfect. Our relationship will probably never be perfect, but it's a start. Another text comes through, this one from Jason. Jason, that kid of yours is something special. You should be proud. Me, I am. And I mean it. Over the next few weeks, life settles into a new normal. Caleb is invited to more playdates. Other single parents reach out, forming a small but supportive community. The whispers in the parking lot don't disappear entirely, but they're quieter now, less sharp. And I realize something. I'm not fighting anymore. Not because the battle is over, but because I've already won. I won the moment I decided to stop apologizing for my life. The moment I stood up in that PTA meeting and refused to be silent. The moment my son stood on that stage and declared that our family, our small, imperfect, beautiful family, was enough. 6 months later, I'm standing in the same gymnasium for the winter holiday concert. Caleb is on stage with his class, singing a slightly off-key rendition of Jingle Bells. I'm recording on my phone, smiling so hard my cheeks hurt. Marcus Webb is sitting next to me, his daughter performing in the same concert. We've become friends over the past few months, real friends, not just parking lot acquaintances. He and his daughter have come over for dinner a few times. Caleb adores her. Your kid's got a good voice, Marcus whispers. He really doesn't, I whisper back, laughing, but I love him anyway. When the concert ends, Caleb runs up to me, his face flushed with excitement. Did you see me? I didn't forget any of the words. I saw, you were amazing. He grins, then turns to Marcus's daughter. Come on, Zoe, let's go get cookies. They race off toward the refreshment table, and I watch them go, my heart full. You did good, Brennan, Marcus says quietly. We did good, I correct. Because that's what I've learned over the past year. None of us are doing this alone. We all need allies. We all need people who see us, who support us, who remind us that we're enough. And we are single parents, blended families, grandparents raising grandkids, same sex couples, adoptive families, all of us. We're enough. 1 year later, it's a warm Saturday in June, and I'm sitting on a blanket in the park, watching Caleb play soccer with a group of kids from his class. He's laughing, his face red and sweaty, completely in his element. Next to me, Lena is stretched out on her own blanket, her daughter napping in her lap. Marcus is here too, throwing a frisbee with Zoe. It's become our routine, weekend mornings at the park, coffee in hand, letting the kids run wild. Did you hear? Lena says, shielding her eyes from the sun. Diane Mitchell moved. Her husband got transferred to Chicago or something. Good riddance, Marcus calls over his shoulder. I don't say anything. Part of me feels a twinge of something, not quite sympathy, but maybe understanding. Because I know now that people like Diane are fighting their own battles. Their need to judge, to control, to exclude, it comes from fear. Fear that they're not enough. Fear that their carefully constructed lives might fall apart. I've stopped being angry at her. Anger takes energy I don't have to spare. Mom, Caleb calls, jogging over. Can we get ice cream after this? Sure, bud. He grins and runs back to the game. I lean back on my hands, tilting my face toward the sun. My life isn't perfect. I still work too much, stress about money, worry about Caleb's future. I still have moments where I feel like I'm barely holding it together. But I also have this community, support, a son who knows he's loved, a life that I built brick by brick into something I'm proud of. And that's more than enough. There's a quote I read once that stuck with me. You can't control how people see you, but you can control how you see yourself. For years, I let other people's opinions shape my reality. I let their whispers convince me that I was failing, that my family was broken, that my son would suffer because of the choices I'd made. But I was wrong. Caleb isn't suffering, he's thriving. He's kind, intelligent, resilient, and confident. And none of that happened in spite of our family structure. It happened because of it. Because I taught him that love matters more than labels. That strength comes from showing up, even when it's hard. That being different isn't the same as being less. I'm not going to lie and say the judgment has disappeared completely. There are still people who look at me with pity or disdain. There are still moments where I feel the weight of being the single mom. But those moments don't define me anymore. Because I know the truth, I am enough. My son is enough. Our family is enough. And if someone can't see that, that's their problem, not mine. So here's my question for you. Have you ever felt judged for the life you're living? For the choices you've made, the family you've built, the path you've taken? And if so, did you stay silent, or did you fight back? Because I'm here to tell you that your voice matters, your story matters, and you deserve to take up space in this world without apologizing for it. So speak up, stand tall, and know that somewhere out there there's another parent, another person, who needs to hear that they're not alone. You are enough, your family is enough, and don't let anyone tell you otherwise. If this story resonated with you, share it, talk about it. Let's start a conversation about what it really means to be a family, and let's support each other along the way. What would you have done in my situation? Would you have stayed silent, or would you have fought back? Drop your answer in the comments below. I'd love to hear your story.